Good day everyone, I'm Catherine Bersamina, BSM-4, presenting my thesis proposal entitled Impact of Online Education to the Midwifery Students of Ilocos Sur Community College during COVID-19 pandemic. Education is a continuous process. It has the potential to change lives. It opens opportunities and it is the strongest predictors of employment as it continues to be the cornerstone of job preparation and importantly, to escape poverty. Turpin 2019. Education is the only thing that cannot be taken away from us. We believe that this is the key for one's success. The educator teaches children in school using the face-to-face strategy for the better explanation and discussion of topics. But due to COVID-19 pandemic, the government around the world has closed the educational institution, prohibiting the face-to-face method of teaching to control the spread of diseases. Chandra 2020. It is a disease that causes panic and fears to every individual. It brought extraordinary challenges and has affected educational sectors, and no one knows when it will end. Tria 2020. In response to this situation, leaders decided to adopt the new normal education. Department of Education provides self-learning modules and distributed in printed formats, while households with gadgets and devices, self-learning modules can be accessed online. During this pandemic, online education is the commonly used strategy for the safety of both educators and learners. As with all sectors of education, midwifery has been greatly affected by the lockdown. Loewen et al. Before the COVID-19 outbreak, educator teaches his student using the face-to-face strategy in combination of audiovisuals for better explanation and discussion of topics. But everything has changed. Online learning takes place as the education strategy. More so, in Ilocos Sur Community College, most students use Android mobile to attend online classes. This situation somehow affects their learning experience due to the fact that they have been facing various problems related to depression, anxiety, poor internet connection, and unfavorable study environment. Kapasya et al. Purpose of the study. The study aims to determine the impact of online learning during the outbreak of COVID-19, as judged by the students' level of understanding. Moreover, the knowledge and understanding gained by this study can be useful to educators to improve and continue the quality of education of the students, to increase the interest to participate and compliance of the learner in preparation for their profession. Research objectives. The proposed research study will answer the following research questions. First is the profile of the respondents in terms of socio-demographic factors, which are the age, year level, sex, civil status, and financial status. Second is the level of readiness of the midwifery students of Ilocos Sur Community College for online education in terms of time, internet access, health, and financial. Third is the level of satisfaction of the respondents with regards to online learning in terms of teaching, assessment, and learning experience. And lastly, the relationship between readiness to online learning and their level of satisfaction. Theoretical framework. The focus of this study was undertaken by the following conceptual framework shows below, which show the relationship of the independent variable, which is the student readiness, and the dependent variable, which is the level of satisfaction of the students to online learning. Research methodology. The study will make use of quantitative method, specifically the descriptive correlational research design. The study will be conducted at Ilocos Sur Community College. Since the subject of this study are the middle students, a total enumeration sampling will be used. Data gathering tools and procedure. Data gathering tools that will be used is Part 1, a self-made questionnaire checklist. Part 2, self-assessment for online learning readiness, a 4-point Likert scale questionnaire checklist from Penn State University. Part 3, level of satisfaction to online learning adapted from Figure 2012. Before going to the testing proper, a request letter will be given and approved by the school heads of Ilocos Community College. The respondents will be provided informed consent. And in administering questionnaire, the researcher will send the questionnaire through the internet. A data matrix using Excel will be used to collect and organize data. Ethical consideration. The protection of human subject through the application of appropriate ethical principles is important. It is the duty and responsibility of researcher to preserve and protect the privacy, dignity, well-being, and freedom of research participants. In this research, there are some ethical principles that the researcher follows for the protection and to show respect for the research participants. Informed consent. Informed consent is an ethical and legal requirement for research involving human participants. In this study, the researcher is obliged to ask consent to the participants on their willingness to participate on the said research. It is a process where a participant is informed about all aspects of trials. Confidentiality and privacy. The answer of the participants will be kept for data analysis. Their identity will be kept confidential. The researcher will do its best to practice this principle. Beneficence and non-maleficence. Beneficence is the act of using the study to improve the quality of education on online learning. The researcher will practice the ethical principle of non-maleficence by keeping the participants safe while doing the research by sending online questionnaire instead of face-to-face to keep them away from the threat of COVID-19. Proper data storage. In respect for the ethical principle of confidentiality and privacy, data will be properly collected and kept by the researcher only. Data must not fall into wrong hands as this will be a breach of confidentiality and proper data storage. The researcher will put measures to ensure the data is protected from unauthorized or unlawful processing. Data will be kept for 2 years only and be deleted. Freedom to withdraw from the study. The researcher gave the right for the participants to withdraw from the study if the study can result harm on them at any time without penalty.
Good morning, everyone. I am Lay Antoinette Raboy, a 4th year BS Midwifery student of Ilocos Community College. I am here to present my research proposal entitled Live Experiences of Ilocos Community College Students During COVID-19 Pandemic. Is a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. According to Legg, mental health refers to cognitive, behavioral, and emotional well-being. It is also about how people think, feel, and behave. People sometimes use the term mental health to mean the absence of a mental disorder. According to Martinez et al., mental illness is the third most common disability in the Philippines. Around 6 million Filipinos are estimated to live with and/or anxiety, making the Philippines the country with the third highest rate of mental health problems in Western Pacific region. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood and adolescence through adulthood. Mental health can affect many areas of students' lives, reducing their quality of life, academic achievement, physical health and satisfaction with the college experience, and negatively impacting relationship with friends and family members. These issues can also have long-term consequences for students, affecting their future employment, earning potential, and overall health. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic is drastically changing the lives of people, including the lives of young people. Schools and universities have closed, exams and events postponed, usual health information services are limited, socializing with friends and wider family is highly discouraged and in some places even punishable. All of these changes and disruption of our normal life can be causing feelings of fear, anxiety, disappointment, or even boredom. This is the concept of why this study is proposed. Many of the youth lost their life due to the effect of this pandemic, and one of it is about mental health. Mental health awareness needs to strengthen and be intensified so that this may help the students to boost their mental health and avoid the issues and enjoy life. Justification of the study. With these scenarios, I would like to venture in mental health through making this study possible. The COVID-19 pandemic had a major effect on our lives, especially the youth who are the most affected in this pandemic due to the restrictions and protocols that the government implemented. Teens, especially those ages 15 and below, are still prohibited to go out due to the risk of COVID-19 virus. Many of us are facing challenges that can be stressful, overwhelming, and cause strong emotions in adults and children. Public health actions such as social distancing are necessary to reduce the spread of COVID-19, but they can make us feel isolated and lonely and can increase stress and anxiety. Purpose of the study. The objective of this study is to know the coping strategies of Ilocos Community College students during the COVID-19 pandemic. This qualitative study aims to the lived experiences of the participant during the COVID-19 pandemic and understand the coping mechanism they use to alleviate stress and preserve their mental health. Research objectives. My research questions will be include: to what extent are the lived experiences of the students of Ilocos Community College during this COVID-19 pandemic? To what extent that the youth are most affected by this pandemic that we are facing? To what extent this study can contribute to the students, especially who are dealing with mental issues? What can be the factors that affect the mental health of the Ilocos Community College students during this COVID-19 pandemic? To what extent can this study be beneficial, especially on the students' university midwifery discipline and community? Research design. The research design that will be used in the research will be qualitative phenomenological research. In qualitative data, the respondent are allowed to express his/her feelings in a way he or she wants. The researcher can use the text, audio, or video to understand concepts, opinions, or experiences. It can also use to gather in-depth insight into a problem or generate new ideas for research. Data gathering tools and instrumentation. A semi-structured interview will be used, and a socio-demographic and self-assessment questionnaire made by the researcher based on extant literature will be used as the tool for data collection. Questionnaire self-assessment survey from Warwick-Edinburgh Mental Well-Being Scale, University of Warwick and University of Edinburgh. The questionnaire will focus on socio-demographic and mental health issues, concerns on the students on their lived experience during the COVID-19 pandemic. Data gathering procedures. Permissions will be obtained from the heads of offices and ISCC Ethics Review Center before I float the questionnaires and interview. Individual written informed consent will be obtained from the participant and ethical principles will be observed along the way. Setting and participant. The study will be conducted at Ilocos Sur Community College. 15 students from the college department of the said institution will be respondents on this study. Data analysis will be performed using SPSS or statistical package for the social sciences through the assistance of our university statistician, frequencies, percentage, and means. Independent t-test and correlation will be used to statistically treat the data. Thank you for listening and have a good day, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rodan Tabu. My proposed title is entitled Online Learning of Midwifery Students During COVID-19 Pandemic in Ilocos Sur Community College. Education is something that no one can ever take away from you. By being well educated, you increase your chances for better opportunities and open new doors for yourself. Education is a tool that provides awareness, skills, strategies, information to people, helping them to understand their rights and duties to their families, community, and country. This pandemic has forced the global physical closure of businesses, sports activities, and schools by pushing all institutions to move to online platforms. Online learning is the use of the internet and some other important technologies to develop materials for educational and program management purposes. Global acceptance of the social distancing policy as announced by the World Health Organization as a measure to curb the spread of COVID-19 has forced schools to close their doors, causing unexpected disruption to the traditional teaching and learning method. Online learning in its entirety depends on technological devices and the internet. Instructors and students with poor internet connections are liable to be denied to online learning. A major challenge for institutions, faculty, and learners was the dependence of online learning on technological equipment and the provision of equipment. The study aims to evaluate the student perspective of online learning during the pandemic. The research proposal relates to the education of students during this pandemic regarding the effects of pandemic. The outcome of the study could serve as a basis to the school administrator and teachers to create and innovate teaching strategies. Moreover, the result gained by this study will be beneficial for Ilocos Sur Community College as well as to the principal and the school teachers. Lastly, the ideas presented in this study can be used as a reference data by future researchers and can be used to conduct new research or confirm other relevant findings. Students' perspective on online learning. Classroom teaching mode versus online class. The level of acceptance of students of online learning in terms of the following: preferences, effectiveness, learning satisfaction. Research question: what is the profile of the respondents in terms of the following socio-demographic factors: age, sex, year level, place of residence, and family income? What is the respondents' perspective on online learning? What is the level of acceptance of the student of online learning in terms of the following: preferences, effectiveness, and learning satisfaction? Is there a significant relationship between the respondents' perspective to online learning and their level of acceptance to the said pedagogy. Methodology. Design. The quantitative approach will be used in my research proposal. A correlational research design will be used in this study. Correlational is appropriate as it bids to explore and describe the relationships between preferences, effectiveness, learning satisfaction, and students' perspective of online learning. Local and population. The sample collection method uses simple random sampling where the sample of this study is an active student of midwifery course at Ilocos or Community College. Instrumentation. The survey instrument for this study is a set of questionnaires that will be divided into two parts. In the first part, the student will be asked to give socio-demographic data concerning their age, sex, year level, place of residence, and family income. The second part is a 4-point Likert scale questionnaire checklist adapted from Amir Tanti Maharini et al. 2020 entitled Students' Perspective of Online Classroom and Distance Learning During COVID-19 Pandemic in the Undergraduate Dental Study Program, Universitas Indonesia, October 29, 2020, that will be used to measure the respondents' perspective on online learning. Population size. Power analysis open EPI stratified random sampling for sample sizes. Statistics. The frequency and percentage will be utilized to describe the profile of the respondents. Simple correlation analysis will be used to determine the relationship between the respondent perspective to online learning and their level of acceptance to the said pedagogical approach. Ethnical consideration will be strictly adhered.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nestle Gomo, and I'm here to present to you my title proposal, which is Adjusting to the New Normal, the Stress Level and Academic Performance of Ilocos Community College Students during the Pandemic. Coronavirus Effect. We all have been affected by the current COVID-19 pandemic. The sudden outbreak impacted education at all levels in various ways. Most governments worldwide have briefly closed education in an attempt to stem the spread of the pandemic. We have reached the tragic milestone of million deaths, possess an unparalleled threat to human health, food system, and the world of work. State authorities have introduced many drastic measures, including the closure of the state borders, compulsory 14-day quarantine for people returning from abroad, and the suspension of face-to-face classes, the restriction of the number of people present in stores, the limitation of number of attendees in all churches. The sudden shift in education was very difficult for students to instantly adapt to the new system. These changes, along with other measures, have affected the well-being and academic performance of students engaged in higher education. Recent research during the COVID-19 pandemic states that individuals with higher education experience higher level of fear, depression, and stress. In the recent study, more than 67,000 college students from more than 100 universities, 1 in 5 students had thoughts of suicide, with 9% attempting and almost 20% experiencing self-injury. Mental health issues are the leading impediment to academic success. Even before the pandemic, students have been wrestling with the issue of mental health. In health crises like this, many students have special needs and emerging issues that will require responsive college programming. I would like to focus on the mental health of midwifery students of Ilocos Community College. This pandemic has caused further mental health concerns which affect their academic performances. The purpose of this study is to assess the midwifery students' stress level and the performance in terms of their academics, and to further analyze the students' complications and immediately plan actions to prevent outcomes that might affect their well-being. My research questions will include: Number 1. What is the profile of the respondents in terms of the following socio-demographic factors such as age, sex, place of residence, monthly family income, ordinal position in the family? Number 2. What is the level of stress and burnout of the midwifery students of Ilocos Community College during the COVID-19 pandemic? Number 3. What is the level of academic performance of the Ilocos Community College students? Number 4. Is there a significant relationship between the respondents' level of stress and burnout and their academic performance? Research methodology. The approach that will be used to utilize my research proposal is the quantitative method. This study will use descriptive correlational research design. The population of this study is the third year and fourth year students enrolled in the Bachelor of Science in Midwifery. The sampling strategy to be used will be non-probability and convenience sampling. Participation will be voluntary in nature, and the sample will be focused on the availability and the desire of the students. The survey instrument for this study is a set of questionnaires. I will be using a 5-point frequency rating scale ranging from 1 to 5. All participants will be informed that participation will be purely voluntary and that they would be able to withdraw their information at any time before the actual submission of the questionnaire without any kind of effect. Data will be recorded using SPSS software. Descriptive statistic including mean, percentage, and frequency will be used to present clinical characteristics. Pearson's correlation coefficient, t-test, and ANOVA will be utilized to test the relationship between demographic profile, stress level, and the stress response.